Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast talking Game of Thrones. If you guys didn't know, we're like number 2 in Turkey overall, so big shit's happening.
Thanks to all our Turkish viewers.
But we are talking Ned 14. Yes, he's had 14 motherfucking chapters this first book. I wonder why, Kyle.
I think one of Kyle's predictions last chapter was that this would be his last.
Well, it seems like it might be.
All right, we'll get to that at the end of the episode.
I don't have that as a Kyle prediction anywhere, but I think he said it.
I definitely said it. I said it for a while now.
Do you want it on the record? This is the last Ned chapter we get.
No.
All right, so where we are to start this is in Ned Solar eating breakfast, right?
I think he wakes up, right? He wakes up to the sound of horses.
Up.
Oh, yeah, and all the Lannister men are outside of his window fucking training for war and shit.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, they're like the asshole football team
awesome.
that's like...
And he wonders if Cersei sent him.
Of course she did. Like, let's go taunt this motherfucker.
Why would they be out there? They never did this before, obviously.
And Ned just like, fuck, why have you not like, he's not worried about the men, but he's like, why are you not gone? Like, you're forcing my hand here. So that, yeah, Jeff, this is when they go
Which
to
is so stupid. Like, that's a stupid take on this. Like, he had to, like, how did he not know that?
You knew what happens in this chapter was going to happen?
I mean, I knew that she was not going to go peacefully and that they were going to win, yeah.
So I don't think we have a Globe recap for this one. So let's talk about what happened in the last Ned chapter. At the very end of the last Ned chapter is Littlefinger comes, and he has that conversation with Littlefinger where he's like, go get the gold cloaks. Get him on our side. That was late. That was early in the morning, right? Robert comes back early in the morning. Yeah. Ned like falls asleep at his table after he talks to Littlefinger and wakes up. So this is probably like a few hours later, right? Like not even a full day from that.
Don't you have it on your timeline deal?
Yeah, I do, but it's confusing because the last one, it's hard to tell when it wakes up. Like it says they're both in the same day, but it's because one's like at like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and
it's
one's
got to be like 3 hours
or
later.
6 a.m. or whatever, whenever people fucking wake up in medieval times. So like whatever it is, they're not far apart.
Yeah. So
like literally a few hours ago, he was talking to Littlefinger about this. So just like have that perspective, like when you come in, like he thinks he's on top of the world. He thinks he has this wrapped around his finger. Kyle's like, how could he not see this coming? I doubt Kyle even saw this coming.
Definitely the big thing is he even says it again, like, how many more chances do I need to give Cersei to like hit the road? And like she hasn't left yet. Like he's pretty comfortable.
Kyle?
Well, I guess that's what I meant by how didn't he see this coup and not going his way properly? Maybe not that necessarily it was so obvious to him, but how did he not assume she wasn't going to listen to him at this point? Like, she's a fucking Lannister, and this has been...
You know what's always rubbed me the wrong fucking way, too? Is that her name is still Lannister. I think I've brought it up a bunch.
Everyone calls her Lannister, but...
No, she is a Lannister, because nobody fucking calls her other fucking name. That's fucked up.
No one calls me my real name, and that...
No. That's your choice. That's your first name too, not your surname.
Yeah, what's wrong with...
But you're married. You take it isn't hyphenation.
Why?
Come on.
We've never even heard anyone call her that. Like the fans.
Right. Well, it also pissed me off that when we get to Joffrey, he's like, "Oh, of house." Like bullshit. Like say your dad's fucking house. Like it. It's just wrong. It's not right. It's the only house. It's the only two
I
people.
Agree with you. Like I was going to talk about that when we get to that part.
Well, technically, they did say the house of his father.
It's absurd.
No, not what you're saying. I agree with you. I think what like Ned's thinking here, like why hasn't she left? Like that's not absurd because Ned thinks that it's either like leave or I'm gonna have to capture you.
Why did he think that was gonna work? This city is theirs.
Yeah, but he thought he had the city watched. He thought he had more swords.
But he thinks it's his. Like he thinks it's his, and if he thinks it's his, he should. Like I think this is a valid thing to think. Like why has she not fled? Like she's fucked it like right now. And it's because he's so sure.
Well, especially because he thinks he has the gold cloaks on his side, which is gonna give him way more swords. I think that's the biggest thing. Is like exactly. If it comes to fighting, they're gonna win. They have more swords. So
100%, $1,000,000%. Yeah. So the breakfast thing, Jeff. Go ahead.
So he eats with Sansa, Arya, and Septa, correct?
Yep.
And like Arya's still all jacked up because like it seems like she's gonna get one more dancing lesson, but she's kind of
she
pissed.
asks
though.
him here, and he's like, fine.
He's like, yeah, but you got to leave by noon, right? So
yeah. And he's like, I want you washed up or something like that.
Be ready to leave by midday.
And then Sansa's just like, why can't I say goodbye to Joffrey? And like, obviously Sansa, because no one should know that you're leaving. Like, you dumb fucking
Well, even
little
besides
girl.
that, like, Joffrey's like the enemy now. Like, Ned's about to go try and capture, like, literally about to try and imprison Joffrey.
Like tell him that
not
he's
like
a
in
bastard.
a prison, but like capture Joffrey.
He's literally going to say, you're a bastard, you have no claim to the throne.
So, like, Ned's plan right now isn't even to reveal that until Stannis gets here. Right now, he just wants to claim the protectorness, right?
Right.
But yeah, like, obviously, like, you can't see Joffrey. He's like the opposite of like none of that shit's happening anymore.
Yeah. And then so Sansa runs off when she can't say
Septa's
goodbye.
even on Sansa's side. Septa's like, I'll escort her and make it sure that like everything's like fine. Ned's like, nah.
Come on, Septa.
Does Septa not like realize shit? Like, first of all, he's a
well,
shit
no,
bag.
dude.
Like,
Think about it. Like
Ned
doesn't think like that. Like we don't even know who knows before Ned reveals this, right? On the count, even like the council members. Like when Ned calls them all here, he's like, he thinks like some of them know, right? Because like Littlefinger. But like he doesn't think that all of them know about like the incest babies.
Yeah, probably not.
No, for sure.
He just knows that he's
too naive to know that,
right? Like Ned's been working this entire book to figure that out. So like, there's no way Septa knows it. So Arya runs off to go to her lesson. Sansa goes just runs away crying. Ned, and then an hour later, Pycelle shows up and like is like, Robert's finally dead. He says the king is gone. God give him rest. And Ned says no, he hated rest. God's given him love and laughter and the joy of righteous battle. That's awesome. Robert's a goat. And then Ned's talking about like how he felt like so empty, even though like he knew that Robert was gonna be dead. Like now that he finally like hears it, it's like different. And he's like, okay, call all the council members here, and like we gotta talk now. And he's like, right now, like, shouldn't we like wait it? And he's like, nah, now you stay here. And then the servants go away to get everybody, and they all start showing up.
Then Pycelle sits down to drink some more wine as they wait, or
I think
beer.
He gets, like, beer
they
or
drink
something.
beer, yeah.
Sweetened beer.
Sweet beer.
Breakfast.
A cup
beer
of
for
sweet
breakfast,
beer.
Wine's for lunch and dinner.
Yeah. And then I think one by one they start coming in. Littlefinger with dirty riding shoes. Sir Barristan comes in, but he doesn't want to because he should be next to the young king, protecting him. And then Varys walks in all powdery and plump.
Clean.
And Renly is a no-show.
Ran away with his troops. And Loras Tyrell? Yes.
Yeah. Loras Tyrell. So yeah, let's go over this. Ned tells Barristan to stay because he's like, don't worry about it. We're going to talk about that in a second. When he says like, I should be with the king. We hear from Varys, right, that Renly left with Loras and 50 men. They were riding south, probably either to Storm's End or Highgarden. And yeah, I think you got everything else. Well, yeah, when Littlefinger comes in, he actually looks at Ned and tells him what the
deed you asked of is done or something like that.
Which I actually forgot what that was because I just feel like it's been a little bit.
And that's what I'm saying. This was literally like 4 hours before he asked Littlefinger.
Rally up the cloaks.
Yeah.
Well, and Littlefinger even did that thing where he's like, it's too dishonorable. You don't want me to do it. And it was pay the cloaks. Like he was going to pay him like a certain amount more to be on their side or whatever. So he's like, the little task you sent me to is completed or whatever. So
Ned starts reading the deal.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't.
He's like, he gives it to
Sir Barristan,
I think,
who checks the seal is good. And who was there to Renly and somebody else was there?
Pycelle and Renly were there to witness it. So that's kind of weird because Renly's gone now. And Pycelle could always be like, nah, it's fake. But it turns out it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's Ned versus Pycelle.
Yeah.
Like, who do you believe?
Yeah. So he hands it to Barristan to read. And I think there was more in it when we were in the Ned chapter. But the line that Barristan reads is like the main part where it says like, Lord Eddard Stark is here and named Protector of the Realm to rule Regent until the heir comes of age. And then that's when Ned's like, yeah, the heir is of age, but I'm going to save that until Stannis is here with all his people and Joffrey is safely in hands or whatever.
What do you think the age is? 16?
I was going to say 16.
Probably depends on the kid. But he says he doesn't trust Varys Pycelle and Varys or Pycelle, and Barristan would be honor bound to protect the boy that he thought was king and like wouldn't believe it so easily. So that's why he says he doesn't bring it up here.
Yeah, he's got no backup.
And this is when Ned even says, like, oh, I got to play the game a little bit. Like, he says, like, I got to play the game.
It's a shame that him playing the game ends in, like, the first minute of the game.
Yeah, he didn't play well, I guess.
The moment he tries to do anything, knock, knock, knock on the door.
Kyle, thoughts so far? You've been pretty quiet.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of how I was when I was reading it. It definitely didn't bode well the whole time. It seemed...
You weren't as confident as Ned?
No, not at all. I knew there was no way he was getting out of this in his own... Like, in the plan that he had in his mind wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, so this is before, like, any conflict even really starts happening. So what happened next is after he reads this, he, again, thinks about he needs Stannis to show up, and then fucking Tom, your boy Fat Tom, comes in. They don't say his name in the chapter, and I don't remember his name from the other chapter when he comes in, but the King's Steward.
All right, so the steward comes in and says, hey, the king demands your presence in the hall right away. And Ned's like, well, not really the king, but the kid who calls himself king. All right. So they rally the troops and they start heading down with Littlefinger helping them the whole way as they're going to Ned's demise. They walk into the throne room and Ned's thinking the whole time, he's like, first time I was ever here was when I had to take Jaime down from the throne. He's like, hopefully Joffrey comes down just as easy.
So real quick, on the way into the throne, Ned looks at a few things. He notices that he gets what? How many men does he get?
Does he have 20 men with him?
Yeah, it's like 20, I think.
8. He only has 8 men.
Well, that's because he sent them all over the fucking realm to do other shit. Oh, you can have 100 of my men, too.
That's what, it comes back to what you're saying, Joe.
He's confident in all the gold cloaks that he sees, like in the yard, and then he meets Janos Slint, who, Kyle, do you remember when we met Janos Slint? He's only showed up once before. He's the commander of the city.
I do remember his name, but I don't.
He came and he came asking men. Or he didn't
asking Ned for more men, and Ned gave him 1,000 or
and Ned gave him a bunch
ton
for the tournament. He's like, "There's like riots in the street."
Okay.
He was that guy, right? And he's like, "We need more men." So, so that's the leader of the City Watch. So they entered and they call out all Joffrey's new titles, like King, blah blah blah, Protector,
King of the Andals and the Rhoynar.
Yeah, all that shit. And then what Glow said, Ned has that memory and wonders if Joffrey's going to come down so easily. So who we got in the throne room, Kyle? Do you remember?
It's like Jaime and Barristan.
Jaime's
not there.
No Jaime.
And Barristan's on Ned's side.
I know all butts are Jaime and Barristan. Look at me reading the wrong thing.
Yeah, all 5 men of the Kingsguard except for Jaime or Barristan. So who do we know any of those people?
Just in there, like full.
I don't remember any of their names.
They named 2 of them in a second.
Boros and Meryn.
Boros and Sir Meryn. Yeah, I'm not sure I would know the other ones off the top.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember them either.
Sandor.
Yep, Sandor's there at the base too, and Tommen, Marcella, and Cersei are chilling up top, like behind the Kingsguard.
Cersei.
And Joffrey and Cersei.
She's not even wearing black.
Cersei's
That's
wearing,
how you know she's
but
different.
she's wearing green. Which
so you think that counts?
It's the Baratheon colors.
Yeah, but she should be wearing black.
But Joffrey.
That's interesting. She's actually wearing green.
She's wearing green, but Joffrey is wearing gold,
red and gold, like
gold,
a little prick.
But his red and gold outfit does have stags on half of it.
I was gonna say, wasn't it like half and half?
There's 50 lions on one side and 50 stags on the other side, but it still says it's all red and gold. Which is like, come on.
And he's pretty much like Joffrey fucking Lannister. Let's be serious.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, I mean, this is definitely like a special outfit that
they were pretty much like, hey, this is going to be your biggest day in history. Let's put you in Lannister colors.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been bitching about this since like the first Arya chapter, the first Jon chapter. Whenever Arya and Jon meet on that bridge and watch Bran practice fight with Tommen and Joffrey practice fight with Robb and be like, we need real steel. Even then, we're like, why the fuck's this guy in yellow? I mean, we knew, but even Kyle was like, why the fuck's this guy yellow, red and
I don't think gold? I've ever heard of him even in green. Like they've never mentioned it.
And he's got green eyes. It'd probably look pretty good.
Ew. We're not commenting on what he looks good in.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's fine.
So also the other thing I wanted to point out about this is remember that throne though. It's like a badass throne, right? It's not the fucking throne from the show. Joffrey's up top that shit.
He's up like 30 steps, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Ned's all messed up, right? His legs still not feeling so hot and all that.
He's literally leaning on Littlefinger here.
Yeah, the whole way there.
The whole way there, and literally in the throne room, he's leaning on Littlefinger.
He's like in excruciating pain.
So for some reason, he still believed all these Kingsguard were on his side, and like all the men in gold around the top were with him.
And he said,
what? Right, I got this now.
So he says what? There's 20 Lannister men behind the throne. And then we said there's about six with Sandor. So they have 25 men. And then Ned says that he outnumbers them 5-1. So Ned has at least 125 men in the throne room. And only 8 of them are his, right? So that means there's like 120 fucking city watchmen in this room, plus the 27 Lannisters. So when everything goes down, it's like 150-8, right? So
even if the Gold Cloaks were on his side, having the 5 Kingsguard there they're definitely more than.
Yeah, they're worth more than one, but worth more. But Ned said with the Kingsguard on his side, he would have outnumbered them 5-1.
So what's that? 26 times 5. Right.
Exactly. So 125 people. That's what I'm saying. So it would have been. It's 50v8 once the tide turns. 150v8 once the tide turns.
Yeah, that's not good numbers. Yeah. You'll lose with those numbers.
So he walks the whole way there, and then Joffrey stands up, and what's Joffrey's demands?
I want everyone to swear fealty to me, all the counselors.
So so he wants to be coronated within the fortnight. I think that's the right word.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's coronation, right?
He wants all of his counselors to swear him fealty right now. And I think that's actually it. And this is when Ned pulls out his paper. So this is the only quote I have in the chapter, and I want to read the rest of I think it's the rest of the chapter. The eunuch carried the letter to Cersei. The queen glanced at the words.
Protector of the realm,
she read.
Is this meant to be your shield, my lord? A piece of paper?
She ripped the letter in half, ripped the halves in quarters, and let the pieces flutter to the floor.
Those were the king's words,
Sir Barristan said, shocked.
We have a new king now,
Cersei Lannister replied.
Lord Eddard, when last we spoke, you gave me some counsel. Allow me to return the courtesy. Bend the knee, my lord. Bend the knee and swear fealty to my son. We shall allow you to step down his hand and live out your days in that grey waste you call home.
Would that I could,
Ned said grimly. If she was so determined to force the issue here and now, she left him no choice.
Your son has no claim to the throne he sits. Lord Stannis is Robert's true heir.
Liar!
Joffrey screamed, his face reddening.
What does he mean? Isn't Joff the king now?
Princess Marcella asked the queen plaintively.
You condemn yourself with your own mouth, Lord Stark,
said Cersei Lannister.
Sir Barristan, seize this traitor.
The Lord Commander of the Kingsguard hesitated. In the blink of an eye, he was surrounded by Stark guardsmen, bare steel in their mailed fists.
And now the treason moves from words to deeds,
Cersei said.
Do you think Sir Barristan stands alone, my lord?
With an ominous rasp of metal on metal, the hound drew his longsword. The knights of the Kingsguard and 20 Lannister guardsmen in crimson cloaks moved to support him.
Kill him!
The boy king screamed, down from the Iron Throne.
Kill all of them! I command it!
You leave me no choice,
Ned told Cersei Lannister. He called out to Janos Slynt.
Commander, take the queen and her children into custody. Do them no harm, but escort them back to the royal apartments and keep them there under guard.
Men of the watch, Janos Slynt shouted, donning his helm. 100 gold cloaks leveled their spears and closed.
I want no bloodshed,
Ned told the queen.
Tell your men to lay down their swords, and no one
With a single sharp thrust, the nearest gold cloak drove his spear into Tommen's back. Fat Tom's blade dropped from nerveless fingers as the wet red point burst out through his ribs, piercing leather and mail. He was dead before his sword hit the floor. Ned's shout came far too late. Janos Slynt himself slashed open Varley's throat. Cain whirled, steel flashing, drove back the nearest spearman with a flurry of blows. For an instant it looked as though he might cut his way free. Then the hound was on him. Senator Clegane's first cut took off Cain's sword hand at the wrist. His second drove him to his knees and opened him from shoulder to breastbone. All his men died around him. Littlefinger slid Ned's dagger from his sheath and shoved it up under his chin. His smile was apologetic.
I did warn you not to trust me, you know. You
right.
flew through that last paragraph there.
When it gets exciting, you gotta fly.
You were in sprint mode.
Dude, that's how I read sometimes. When it gets really good, I'll fucking book it through.
Except I'm not good at reading, and I fucking stumble every other word. So
I'll get like adrenaline going. I'm like, oh shit.
Oh shit! Shake that ass. Come move it like a gypsy.
Yeah. So Kyle, like you said, Ned's kind of an idiot for thinking no hiccups were going to be coming.
Yeah, I know it's
Did this surprise you at all?
It's kind of hindsight, I guess, in a sense as well. And like, I did know he was going to die at some point. That whole part of it plays.
You don't think Baelish is the one to kill him? That bitch ass Baelish.
I don't remember who I said. I know we had a while ago said, but I don't think it was him.
Yeah, I do remember.
I think he was probably on the list, but I don't think he was.
You said the only thing I think you've ever said is that Ilan Payne is moving up the list of people, but you never like ever had a list of people. So I think the only person on that list is Ilan Payne, and I guess he would be at the top.
Who is Ilan Payne? I don't even remember now.
He was the king's justice.
He's the guy without a tongue.
Who
he's creepy as shit.
Barry said that he like slighted him by not sending him when he sent
he looked pissed. He sent. Midnight Sir, the King's Justice.
Yeah, the King's
right?
Justice. And he scared. And he also, I think, the only other time he like appeared was he scared Sansa in like the first Sansa chapter when they were on the road down to King's Landing.
Littlefinger's always a piece of shit, so I don't know, and I don't know that I would have ever maybe pegged him for the one that did it. And it makes sense because like the murder weapon was there the whole time. Like it's one of those things. Chekhov's gun. The knife is there. It's got to kill somebody.
Also,
right?
since this already happened, I probably should have said it earlier. Or since like we knew this, I should have said it earlier when it came up. But when he's thinking about everyone who he doesn't trust, right? He's like, I'm not going to tell them about Joffrey yet because I don't trust everybody. He's like, I don't trust Pycelle and Varys, and Barristan's too honorable. But he doesn't mention like he doesn't say Littlefinger. Is it?
Yeah, when you said that earlier, I was like, oh, he didn't bring up Littlefinger.
It kind of like says that he trusts Littlefinger because when he,
I don't know why he would though. Like I mean, from day one he was untrustworthy.
Yeah, just this last thing that he doesn't even know if Littlefinger actually did for him or not, just because he said it and because Cap.
Well, he
told
obviously
him.
didn't.
Yeah, obviously didn't. But at the time, like when he says like I can't trust Pycelle or Varys and leaves out Littlefinger, he doesn't know that he's being fucked yet. I think I mentioned at the beginning. I don't know if we recorded or not. I redid the frag count. So who do you guys think is leading the frag count? I went through all the chapters and recounted, and I actually wrote down if we know who the person they killed is, who it is. I think I might have sent a picture.
Jory.
Jory is not. He's tied for third.
The Hound.
I already know the answer. So
the Hound is
Hound's
definitely
also
up
tied
there.
for third.
Ooh.
Including this chapter.
So,
This chapter, the Hound's tied for third. Where he kills Cain.
Janos.
it's Ned.
Number one's Ned.
Ned.
He's killed Jared.
He chopped the
In
guy's
chapter
head
one,
off.
killed Lady.
Ladies.
If fucking Jared counts, Lady counts. If Lady counts, Jared counts.
No, Jared's a
lady...
person. Lady's
yeah,
a dude.
Most of the direwolves would probably be hard to kill. At this point, most of the direwolves would be harder to kill than people, correct?
All right, go ahead.
If somebody one-on-one killed Ghost, would you count that?
Who else did he kill?
Two Lannister men when he gets attacked. Unnamed.
Four is the lead right now? Come on, Jory. I thought Jory cut down like six men.
Two is Bronn. He has two clansmen and Ser Vardis Egan.
He's killed more than that. They fought
this
like
is the
four.
only I'm only counting confirmed kills in chapters.
I gotcha.
Confirmed kills, Jeff.
I gotcha.
So like Jaime Lannister isn't even on it because he hasn't killed anyone in a chapter. We know he killed the Mad King, but he doesn't get that because.
Did he? I mean, that's also in the past.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So nothing in the past cast, only the live chapters. Tyrion is actually tied for third. Tyrion, Jory, Summer, Dreywind, and Sandor are all tied for third with 2.
Summer killed 2
Summer
wildlings.
kills the Cat's Paw Assassin and 1 wildling with a dagger.
Yeah. And eats his fucking
Jory
guts
kills
in
2
the
guards.
pond.
Tyrion kills 2 clansmen.
All right, Nelson, if you're counting direwolves killing people, I'm okay with counting direwolf deaths to that total too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about it right now, if somebody was in a one-on-one versus Jon Snow versus one-on-one versus Ghost, which one's an easier fight? And for that reason, the direwolves I don't know. For that reason,
Ghost isn't wearing armor. He doesn't have a sword to fucking protect himself.
Dude, a direwolf
plot armor doesn't count.
A direwolf would fuck you up, Glow.
Plot armor.
A 14-year-old boy or a direwolf? Fuck, I'll take the 14-year-old boy any day of the week.
Yeah, I'll fuck that boy
Are
up.
you saying the dire? I don't know, man. I think I'd rather fight the wolf.
And then
one swipe
all
and
tied
you
with
win.
one. All tied with one is Sandor
Yeah, if
for
you're
killing
lucky.
Sir Hugh, Chiggin for killing a Klansman, Lady Stark for killing a Klansman, Robb Stark for killing a wildling, Theon for killing a wildling, Khal Drogo for killing Viserys, and Janos Slynt for killing Varley.
Got some numbers coming.
We also got a comment from a review from iTunes that asked a question, but it's spoilery, and it asked about characters that haven't even showed up yet. So we're going to save that for the spoiler section, but we'll talk about that.
So we have 2 comments to talk
All right,
about?
let's let Kyle make his predictions on the 3.
Go on, Kyle.
Well, I mean, Ned's dead, right?
We never see Ned again.
Right now?
Well, like he took a dagger to the throat.
It's just up to his throat.
Shoved it up under his chin. To me, that sounded like he.
When I read it, I was like, whoa, but it's just sitting there.
So, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Jeez,
kind of a spoiler, but.
Good job, bro.
Fuck, that is a bad spoiler. That's my first one in a while, guys.
I think it was obvious, but Kyle said something in the middle of the chapter that made me think that he might not have thought it was as obvious. So I just shut up.
I thought he killed him
when you guys started talking about that. All right, give me a new list of people who's going to kill Ned. When does Ned die? What's going on with Ned next chapter? What's going on with Sansa Arya? Go. You're up. You're on the mic.
We didn't have another chapter.
This is your
Stop.
time.
I'm looking
Quick,
right
quick.
now.
This is
You
your
can't. That's spoilers. Looking ahead in the book, spoilers.
That's
Big
spoiler.
spoiler.
You
That's
can't
a big
do that.
ant.
I was just looking at chapter title.
Yeah,
What if
you
you
can't
stop?
do that.
What if
Double
all of a sudden
spoiler.
you stop seeing Tyrion's?
I wouldn't notice because I was looking for Ned.
Arya or Sansa? Who do you want to talk about?
I still don't think they're going to be stuck here.
Do they make it to the ship?
Probably.
Next chapter is Arya. Don't read anything. Don't pick up your book. Where are we? Are we on a ship? Are we fucking back at Winterfell? What's going on here? Still in King's Landing? Right after breakfast?
Still in King's
What's
Landing.
going on?
I think we have to get a little bit more of their side before we leave here, because especially if Ned's still alive, like you've said, they're gonna have to deal with whatever's happening, and I don't think they just skip over the kids because they've been part of this.
So they're just like, they're going to get got? What do you mean? Give me a prediction here.
Well, I think there's gonna be a mad escape.
By
What do you mean by?
By who's escaping?
Who's
What are you
escaping?
talking about? You're giving the most vague.
I don't think Ned's
Sansa
getting
and
out.
Arya just escape on their own?
So both the
Well,
kids
like
are
the Septa's still
a
there
mass
and
escape.
stuff. Like, and
Septa escapes with them?
what about the dance instructor?
Serious? Dude, that'd be...
Syria.
I wouldn't hate that. The 4 of those take off on the
go
road?
see-
Yeah, there you go. Syria and Mordain are gonna.
Septa just
Be like
fucking swinging a
father
sword.
mother figures
Yeah.
for Sansa Arya.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
All
And
right.
they escape. But the next chapter that Arya has, we're still in King's Landing with?
Yeah. That's down the road.
Starting off.
Okay. And Ned. You got to give me something more on Ned.
I don't know what to say about Ned. I thought he was dead already.
So is next chapter his last chapter?
No, I think this was his last chapter.
So did we just hear about him from other people now?
Probably.
Okay.
All right.
Like I said,
And what do we
I
hear about him?
I thought he was dead.
So if you were them and you weren't killing Ned, what would you do with him?
I mean, I think he's gonna get killed. Obviously, I think it's gonna be treason, and they're gonna not come out with all the stuff. Like all his secrets are gonna die with
Cersei
him.
says in there, like the treason went from words to actions as soon as all the Stark men pulled out their swords.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm saying is that I think his secret dies with him.
Didn't he? No, he just fucking says take him under custody, but doesn't actually fucking tell anybody. What an idiot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
he doesn't say that.
Well, he says he has no claim to the throne. Like, what would be the reasons? That
I didn't
Joffrey
realize
doesn't?
that because he says to himself, I thought he told everybody because he says to himself, he says, you leave me no choice. And Ned told Cersei Lannister. And I thought, just like in my head, that meant, okay, he tells everybody, but he does. You're right. He doesn't. He just says, take the queen and her children into custody.
Well, he does say you're not the heir, but they never
He doesn't
explain
say
it.
why.
Never
But
explains it.
I mean, how many
does he?
reasons
Where
would
does he say that?
Well, that was when Myrcella says, "Isn't Joffrey the king?"
It says something about Stannis being the true heir.
No, he doesn't say Stannis.
No, he says that.
He says it out loud.
He says it out loud. I'll get you the fucking quote. Your son has no claim to the throne he sits. Lord Stannis is Robert's true heir.
Liar. Joffrey screamed, his face reddening. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
It still didn't come out, though.
You don't think anyone's going to link onto that?
Liar!
I mean, I'm sure it'll probably get... Well, no, everybody there is a Lannister at this point. That's the problem, is like the whole city, or at least all the king's crew is flipped.
Yeah,
they're bought.
But most people probably don't know that still.
What?
Just because you're a Lannister doesn't mean that you know that you're fucking...
They don't care.
They're fucking each
they
other.
Obviously don't care.
They don't?
No.
Dude,
I just assume they don't know.
No, they don't care. How many of these people would care?
I don't know.
They literally just read a paper saying that Ned Stark is the regent, and none of them care.
That's true. Well, one of the big things about the novellas too is that like soldiers and like the poor people don't give a fuck about what's going on as long as they have like food and like a roof over their head at the end of the night. They don't give a shit what the High Lords are doing.
Well, these are high paid Lannisters, and then Lannister people. Like they don't care.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, Kyle, you got any other bold predictions, friend?
No, I don't have anything good.
All right, what's happening to Bran right now?
What's happening to Bran?
Yeah, I'm fucking with you.
Glow's just trying to make this longer than it has to be.
He's riding a horse.
Short one. Exciting chapter, but a short chapter. Next one's a long chapter. Arya.
Oh boy.
And we'll see what Kyle predictions come true.
Bye, Kyle.
See you later, Kyle. Great hanging out.
Good luck, Kyle, on your predictions.
All right, bye, Kyle. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, Kyle.
See you guys.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. It's great hanging out, bud. We'll see you on the next episode. I don't know who's up next, but I'll see you then.
It's fucking Arya, motherfucker. We talked about it, you fucking Metagon.
You Metagon? And now on to the spoiler section of Ned 14. Guys, what are your hot takes for this episode? Actually, no. Let's skip over the hot takes and go straight to the iTunes comments. How many do we have? I believe we have one on deck. Correct, Nelson?
Yep, that'd be correct. The commenter's name is Cubone and...
Cubone. That's a Pokemon. Cubone and Natu Trainer, Lannister fan.
All right, so some Pokemon, some... We don't
Gave
know
us 4 stars out of 5. Yeah. Pretty big fucking deal.
I like the honesty.
All right, so the comment is, Sir Duncan the Tall and his Squire Egg was the best. I love that Egg, aka Aegon's eldest son later on when he is king, is named Duncan. I didn't know that. I did not.
I did not know that.
So
Duncan Targaryen's kind of a weird fucking name.
And they end up calling him Duncan the Small because
that's funny.
Obviously, because also Duncan's still alive while this Duncan's alive. Also, a few more factoids about little Duncan the Small, I think is what they called him. So Egg was able to marry for love. Like because he was the 5th son, he didn't have to be married away to like some fucking family or whatever.
But he actually became king, right?
So he actually becomes king, and when he does, his first son, Duncan, the Small, there's like some shit going on. I don't know the exact political like standings at the time, but there was some shit going on, and basically I think Egg needed to marry Duncan to a Baratheon in order to secure some alliances. Like he needed to do it. And Duncan the Small, I think he wanted to marry Jenny of Oldstones.
That's where the song comes from.
So
that was Duncan Targaryen?
And yeah, so basically this is a running theme with Egg, is because Egg was allowed to marry for love, all his children, when Egg tries to force marriages on them, when he probably should force it more and like actually make them do it, because it would make his life a lot easier. Like there's a lot of fuck ups he does, but not actually force.
How do you know all of this?
The World of Fire and Ice.
World of Ice and Fire, yeah.
Okay.
But because of that, he basically lets all his kids be like, okay, I did it. And that's always their argument, is like, you were allowed to marry for love, I should be allowed to. So he's like, okay, fine. So Duncan the Small, he actually lets him renounce his crown, right? Like, I won't be king as long as I can marry this this woman, Jenny of Oldstones. And I think they go through with it, but then I don't know if they die at Summerhall before it actually happens or what the actual course of events exactly is. But yeah, Duncan the Small was in love with the one who did Duncan the Tall is named after, is in love with Jenny of Oldstones. And that whole like marriage thing with Egg, which is pretty cool.
What's the song of Jenny?
Was that at the end of
Jenny's
Game of
song.
Thrones?
It was in the episode before the battle. Podrick sings it.
Episode 2 or 3 or something.
And everybody jerked off to it, and I think Pod's a fucking nerd.
Well, we haven't heard all of that song in the books, but a lot of that song is from the books. When Arya visits the Ghost of High Heart, I think she actually goes to the Ghost of High Heart twice. Both times, I think the Ghost of High Heart asked that song be sung to her.
Right, I remember that. That's that little witch thing right on the hill.
Yeah, people think she's a child of the forest. She asked for that song to be sung to her because she was one of Jenny. So the Ghost of High Heart was one of Jenny of Oldstone's best friends. And Jenny of Oldstone actually, after she was like tight with Duncan the Small, Egg's son, after they were like in a relationship, she was allowed to bring the Ghost of High Heart to court. And the Ghost of High Heart was the one that made the prophecy that said the prince that was promised will be of the line of Aegon or not Aegon. Maybe it was Aegon and his wife, or I think it was actually Aerys and his wife. They said like they'll be of your line. So that's why like Rhaegar was so obsessed with it, because the Ghost of High Heart made that prophecy. And Ghost of High Heart was brought there by Jenny of Oldstones, who were best friends. That's why Ghost of High Heart always wants that song sung. But yes, so I think I agree with our commenter. He probably just got bored to death when we read the first half. But I agree that I love the Duncan Egg stuff.
Duncan Egg stuff is great,
and I can't wait for more of them. After Winds of Winter, I think there's supposed to be another Duncan Egg before the next book. And I'm not mad about it at all. A lot of people are. I'm not.
I am.
And I love all
Dude,
that shit.
I mean, just imagine how long it's going to take him to write the next book. He's definitely going to be dead.
The Duncan Eggs don't take that long. And I think he's done a lot of work on this one already. All right, Jeff, go ahead with the next part of the comment.
All right, so the next part of the comment is, also, Qyburn was doing the equivalent of dialysis on Gregor. I don't think that he learned that in the Citadel. How does a man go from leeching Bolton to performing a precision surgical procedure such as dialysis? Did he read of this in a forbidden book in the Citadel? Is that really dialysis? Because he was fucking dead.
Yeah, so so most people think that something like dialysis, because do you know what dialysis is?
It's like
pump out the poisons.
Yeah, you pump all your
It's like a fake liver.
Fake kidney. So you pump all your blood out, clean it. It's fake kidney 100%. They pump all your blood out, clean it in a fucking like machine, and then pump it back in. Right? So people think that something like dialysis is what was done to Gregor because he was poisoned, right, with a poison that affects your blood. So I think that if Qyburn saved him, they probably pumped out all the enough bad blood and pumped in good blood that it was able to like subside to a level where it didn't kill him. So people do think that's like the thought of it. And he says, how does a man who goes from leeching Boltons to performing precision surgical procedures such as dialysis? So also, I think he's talking more about the show. Because in the show, we definitely see him pumping blood out of Gregor.
Yeah.
Right? And we haven't got to Qyburn in the books at all. So that's why I was saying the part of it's about a character we haven't got to. What do you guys think about this? And then I'll give you my take from kind of what I know with all the theories and shit.
I mean, so we know from the show that Qyburn was very experimental and
did a bunch of different shit.
Like everything he tried to do, like that's why he got kicked out. So he might have even been trying that shit in the Citadel. Do we really even know what exactly he got kicked out of the Citadel for?
So in he says, I think in both show and book, that he gets kicked out of the Citadel for he says it in a kind of sinister way, but basically performing experiments on live bodies. He says, like, to discover how you save someone, you have to do research on the living, not the dead, right? In order to figure out how to save someone's life, you have to do research on the living, not the dead. He said most of our knowledge comes from, like, autopsies, and he starts doing vivisection. Apparently, so the sinister way to look at it is he's doing vivisections, right? Which is an autopsy while someone's alive. You're dissecting them while they're alive to see how that shit's working, right? When you dissect someone when they're dead, you see all the shit is. You do it while they're alive. You can see how it's working for a little bit. So people think that that's what he was doing. That's why he got kicked out. But also surgeries fits his description, however he describes it. So some people think it's a toss up, right? Like performing experiments on live bodies can be vivisections, but it can also be like attempted surgeries, right? So like maybe he thinks like, oh, I have bad blood. Maybe I can pump all this blood out and put it back in. The Citadel might frown on that because you're doing something pretty like drastic to a live person, right? But maybe he, in his own right, is honestly trying to save them. So it's hard to tell what he actually got kicked out for, but it has to do with doing experiments on the living, whether that's vivisections or trying to perform surgeries is a toss-up and kind of debate. So keep going. So somebody who got kicked out of the Citadel, I think that kind of might answer the question, right? So like, because he got kicked out of the Citadel for doing like potentially surgeries, potentially vivisections, he does have knowledge. Well, surgeries aren't nefarious. The thing is, surgeries aren't nefarious. Like, say he was doing dialysis.
Nefarious in the Citadel's eyes.
Exactly. So, like, say he's trying dialysis on somebody at the Citadel. If dialysis is an unheard of thing where you pump out someone's blood and pump in somebody else's blood, you know what I mean? Like that.
I can see that being fucked up in these people's eyes. Like,
exactly. And the other surgeries too, like a fucking, I don't know what other, appendicitis or something. Who knows? Fucking anything like that. So it's hard to tell what he did. And I don't know if I think in the show they try and make it more clear cut that it's nefarious, but I think in the books it's kind of harder to tell. In the books, we also know he studied across. I think he
in Essos or something.
He was definitely in Essos, and I think he was in. So he says goes from leeching Boltons to this surgical procedure, which makes me think this is a show question, because in the show they don't talk about his backstory at all. But in the book we do get a little bit of his backstory. He traveled with the Brave Companions, I think, in Essos, which is where he comes from, right? He shows up in Harrenhal because he was with the Brave Companions, or he was with one of those sellsword companies. And he also extensively studied poisons. And there's a lot of theories out there that say that there's something weird, and he's friends with the Dornish, because there's another character who has all three of these traits. Rode with the sellsword company in Essos, studied poisons, and studied at the Citadel.
John Con. I don't know. Samuel Tarly.
Darkstar?
Oberyn actually founded his own sellsword company in Essos. He did a year at the Citadel, and I think he forged 2 chains or something like that in a year. Oberyn.
Did they just let him do that because he's Oberyn Martell? Like, can you really just come learn and then leave?
That's the thing. I think he probably had privilege because he's from a great house. I don't think you're normally allowed to do that. Or maybe he told him his intention was to become a maester, but I doubt that.
Come on.
Most people aren't allowed to just stay at the Citadel.
He's out like banging everybody and
exactly. But it's weird. Some people think it's very weird, and again, a lot is that guy Preston Jacobs, who I've talked about many times before. He has a main theory about Dorne that I really like, and a lot of it relies on.
Have you told us that one?
I'm not sure. We'll get into it more. Like, none of it's come up in this. It's all like books. Like
just give us a quick synopsis, not a full detail.
The Dornish are kind of behind. They have Qyburn in their pocket, so they're doing a lot of stuff with Qyburn. And Doran's plan is way bigger, like, because they talk about how much of a schemer he is, and then like what's his scheme in the books, like what's Doran's big scheme?
To try to get Quentin to marry Daenerys.
The original one was to try and get Aerion to marry Viserys, yes, but it ends up being Quentin to marry Daenerys. Is that a 17-year plan? Like, is that something that takes 17 years to come up with? Like, he says he's been plotting the downfall of Tywin Lannister, and he wants to see Tywin Lannister die. He wants to see everything taken from Tywin Lannister before he destroys Tywin Lannister. So Qyburn is the only one who has access to the Mountain's body.
Mm-hmm.
He's there when Jaime's hand gets cut off, and now he's serving Cersei. Right, he has access to Tywin's body. Right, so he's around all these things that happen to the Lannister.
So you're saying in the book, like, he might try and fuck Cersei, like, not actually bang her, but
exactly.
Like,
so like, even there's a part. Yeah, there's a part in the last whatever book we have Cersei in the Feast for Crows, I think, where Qyburn comes up and like tells Cersei that like he found a coin. This is after Tyrion escapes. He tells Cersei he found a coin in one of the jail cells, or one of the cells that like the jail keepers, like the guards, use. And it's actually the fake. It's the guard that Varys always pretends to be. He found a coin in that guy's cell, and it's from Highgarden. Like, it's an old Highgarden coin from before the Targaryens came and when they were separate kingdoms. So it's still like a Tyrell coin from like the Tyrell kingdom from before there was 7 kingdoms.
Right.
So it's obviously the Tyrells had some like obviously it's like a plant. It's either like like it's got to be planted, right? Like
right.
Either by Varys, but people wonder is it by Varys or by Qyburn? Like is he up to something trying to get the Martells in a good position by doing this? Like there's a lot of stuff that like Doran could be up to. With Qyburn.
I like that arc of Qyburn way more than him just being like a weirdo that helps Cersei.
Yeah, exactly.
That does make him a lot better, but we'll see. We'll find out.
Who knows? Yeah, we'll talk about it. We're not really there yet, and I do have some things to talk about in this chapter too. So far,
really, I didn't have a fucking thing, and I even tried to take notes.
I just have a little bit, and yeah. So far, I've just talked about that comment. Thank you for writing in. If we get more comments, we might have to do like a separate episode where we just talk about comments because some of them we can talk about for a lot, obviously. So let's talk about this chapter. So I just want one quick thing. This is the last time that Ned sees Sansa or Arya. Like he sees them when he fucking gets his head cut off, but like he gets to talk to him.
Yeah, this is the last moments with him.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that of what comes next.
And Sansa just runs away like crying, like just saying like I hate you for not letting me see Joffrey. Right? It's like kind of sucks for Sansa.
Well, he sees her. Well, doesn't he see them both technically?
He sees them when he gets his head cut off, but he never talks to him again.
Well, isn't Sansa
is it Sansa's chapter?
I think there's a point where Sansa comes and pleads for him, but he's not there. I think Varys just comes and tells him about it. Sansa's standing near him, yeah, for sure.
Wait, when he dies,
he sees Arya.
Whose chapter is it? Is it Arya's chapter?
I think it's Arya's.
And she like thinks she makes like eye contact with him.
Yeah, she sneaks up and climbs onto the statue of Baelor outside the steps so she can see better, and she like sees him. And it's unclear in the books, I think, if they actually make eye contact and like see each other.
I don't think they make eye contact in the show.
I think in the books, actually, Yorn gets to Arya and like makes her turn away before it even happens.
Right. In both.
Same thing happens in the show.
That's in
too.
both, actually.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
I just think it's crazy that this is the last time that like it's like we mentioned it when everyone left Winterfell. Like this is the last time that Ned will see all these characters. Well, this is the last time he sees these guys, right? Like Kyle might have been right that he's not dead yet, but it's the last time he sees anybody he really fucking cares about.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like gets the plot like one more thing out with Varys, and it doesn't even work.
Yeah. The Littlefinger being in the same clothes and just boots dusty from riding, that's just probably because it's only a few hours later and he was going to see Janice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I even forgot like what he was fucking doing.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know if there's anything weird. And then, Jeff, you mentioned it while we were actually reading with Kyle, the tapestries that Ned sees in the throne room.
Mm-hmm.
Have I told you anything about those before? Do you know anything about that?
I mean,
I don't recall anything that you've said.
Glow, what'd you say?
They used to be Targaryens and they tore them down and put...
Well, it was dragon skulls.
Yeah, the Targaryens had dragon skulls, and Robert in place put up these tapestries, old Baratheon tapestries of hunt and battle. And later in book, whichever one we get the Elaine chapters in, book 4 or 5, Littlefinger requests them from Cersei. She requests that Cersei send the tapestries to him.
What does Cersei put up instead?
I don't know. Probably just like
Lannister shit.
In the show, they put up just like giant burning buckets, like braziers, or razors, whatever you call them. Braziers, giant
braziers, because braziers are boobs.
Bras, yeah.
Or bras, yeah.
But like Littlefinger asked Cersei for the tapestries in the books, and people. The only theory I've heard as to why is because he plans to reveal Sansa as Sansa, and at the same time tell all the Lords of the Vale that Joffrey is not, or like Cersei. I thought the original plan was like to prove that the Joffrey and all the children are not actually Baratheons by showing.
And you do that by showing pictures
of real Baratheons.
Okay.
That like don't look anything like them.
Okay.
That's like the
I mean, again, we're gonna take. I mean, it's definitely weird that he does take them.
It's weird that he requests them. Like they're like really important to him in like that later book. Like they're mentioned like.
Is that when he like goes to take over?
It's when he's in the Eyrie. Yeah.
He's in the Eyrie and he writes for him.
Yeah, when he's taking over the Eyrie, he's like there's like letters back and forth between him and Cersei. And every time there's like a council chamber, they like talk about like the latest news from Littlefinger, and like 2 or 3 times they mention like, yeah, Littlefinger says XYZ, the Lords aren't happy with him, and then they're like, yeah, tell the Lords. And Cersei like commands the Lords not to kill Littlefinger, like do whatever you want with the Vale, but don't kill Littlefinger. And then Littlefinger writes back and says like, okay, the Lords are cool with me now, but I still want those tapestries. And so every single time they're like, there's like a 1-line thing about these tapestries. and people like wonder what the big deal is. That's all I got. We know Ned spends the rest of his time in a dungeon and then getting his head cut off. There are multiple Ned chapters left. I think at least 3 or 4.
You don't want to talk about like Ned? Don't you have a crazy like Ned doesn't die theory?
Not really.
I thought you like something.
I mean, there is a crazy theory that like Ned like face swaps with Jack and Hagar in the fucking black cells, but I don't believe that at all.
What do you mean?
Like
Maybe
there's like a crazy theory.
What
that,
do you
like,
mean you don't
Ned
believe
it? It doesn't make any sense based on what we know about the fucking faceless men.
You
can't just swap faces with somebody
unless.
Well, the only way that would work is like Ned would need to have already been trained as a faceless man, and Jaqen would have to like sacrifice himself and carve off his own face, or have Ned carve off his face down there. And I don't think that fucking happens. So
you lack imagination, bro.
Imagination.
That's a theory. There's a
Where
theory that fucking
from? Where is Syrio from?
Bravos.
And who's also from Bravos?
Syrio's Jaqen Hagar.
There's theories that Syrio's Jaqen Hagar, and we'll talk about this in the next episode. I think we're good.
You never said anything about that to me, Nelson.
I think I did.
We've talked about it before, for sure.
The only other thing that happens if one of them doesn't die is Syrio gets captured and goes to the black cells, and the only person people we know in the black cells are Ned and then Jaqen and
Hagar.
Jaqen, Biter, Rourke, who come out of black cells. Yorn, but Yorn did ask for men like 2 weeks ago. So who knows if he already got Jaqen out or what. But we'll talk about all that in the next chapter. I think we're going on longer than we need to for this one. Thanks for writing in. Give us likes on YouTube. Our YouTube's been popping off lately. iTunes been popping off. Give us reviews. We love reviews. We'll talk about any comments we get, at least right now, until we start getting super, super famous.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys.
The nicest dog, full of terrors.
Drink your wine.
Bye-bye now.